We're back with another episode. Excited to dive into more NFL topics. Obviously, we're already entering week 3 of the season with this past Thursday having the Patriots and the Jets go at it. Not much of a game. Patriots kind of came back down to earth, and Aaron Rodgers kind of showed some flashes of his old self, and they won that game 24-3. So it was kind of cool to see that with Aaron Rodgers and everything this week. But now entering week 3, we're starting to get I don't want to say a landscape of what the NFL could look like throughout this season, but injuries have just been a key concern as far as the top names across the board in the NFL. Just injuries have absolutely, one, destroyed fantasy football teams, and two, seeing stars go out kind of sucks early on in the NFL season when you want to be able to watch your favorite team with the stud players. And honestly, it just kind of takes the fun out of the game. It sucks for those guys. They put their life on the line every day they go out there to play the game. So let's dive into that a little bit. Has fantasy football been impacted at all for you guys with these injuries? And if so, what players?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start off. I had Chris McCaffrey. I took him first in one of my leagues overall. I think the biggest thing before we get into specifics with the names, it's not like a tweak thing where they're missing a week at time and they're going to be back this next week. I mean, these are a lot of guys that are going on IR stints that are missing 4 to 5, 6 games at the minimum. Isaiah Pacheco is another guy that got down for me. Justin Jefferson's been in and out. Jalen Waddle's been in and out. I've had Jordan Love in all 3 of my leagues for quarterback. That's probably a little bit of my mistake being a Packers fan there. Picked Tua up in one of the leagues to play for him after having 300 yards passing in the first week. Picked him up. I mean, it's just a nonstop. I mean, it's not really anything to feel sorry for because I feel like if you have a decent draft or a decent roster in any fantasy set, that you're going to have players out right now because these guys are top 15 to 20 guys that are on every big board for the fantasy drafts over the last 6 weeks. It's just something that you kind of got to weather. I mean, it's just a small nutshell of what an NFL organization is going through with waiver wires, picking stuff up, adding stuff for your rosters and all that. But like you said, the biggest thing is it just sucks for the importance of the game and being a sports fan and just sitting down watching the guys that you pay, or if you pay for your TV subscription, you pay for a ticket to go watch. Those guys aren't on the field day in, day out. And that's the biggest thing that's sucking right now. But on the flip side of it, there are guys that have came back from these injuries that are starting to get their feet wet, which is, I think, very interesting talking point, something that we're going to get into here. But Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins, 2 older quarterbacks that are playing really well post-injury. And I think Aaron Rodgers with the top defense, last time he had a number 1 defense in football, they won the Super Bowl in 2010. Not saying that's going to happen with the Jets this year, but they have a mean defense, and he's starting to get some weapons and stuff that way. So it's weird how this new age of injuries with these younger guys are getting hurt, and these older guys who are kind of peaking towards 40 now are coming back and honestly playing some pretty solid ball right now.
Yeah. For the most part, I've been lucky. I mean, in one best ball, I did have McCaffrey, which sucks. But in my big money league for fantasy, Jefferson has been in and out, but he's done well fantasy-wise. I mean, thank God for last week that he had that 97-yard touchdown. And then I did the biggest one that hurts me is I got Cooper Kupp late. Not late, but I thought he fell way too short, and I was able to get him. Had an awesome first week, and then he goes down, so that hurts because that was like a sleeper pick for me. Luckily, I have a guy like Chris Godwin that I can throw in who's been balling. He's the number 1 receiver there as of now. So really, all in all, I've had some good luck. The thing with like Tua, not only does it suck for people that have Tua, but it sucks for people that have the Tyreek Hill and the Jalen Waddle. Because those guys are going to be impacted by some of those injuries. So it may not be that you're directly impacted by that player, but if you got a quarterback that goes out, that's 100% going to affect guys, especially guys like Waddle and Tyreek Hill. So it sucks to see someone like Tua go down. But as far as fantasy, I mean, I don't think there's one person that doesn't have an injury on their team. So it's kind of a wash, in my opinion, unless you got a few guys down.
Yeah, and that's part of the luck of when you do put a team together and go win a fantasy league is when you get kind of lucky and maintain and only have a couple ones, honestly. What you got, Carlson?
Deebo Samuel's been out for me, or he just had the injury, obviously. I think week 2 was tough. Week 2 was a lot of where those injuries occurred. Yes. Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, Jefferson gets hurt late in the game with the Vikings, even after completely balling that game. I mean, he's probably the one that's probably able to play, I would say. Still, I don't know if they're going to sit him.
Yeah, he said he was going to. He already said he's playing.
So luckily that's not a multi-week injury, but Deebo probably is. A.J. Brown, they said multiple weeks. And then even defensively, DeForest Buckner goes down. McCaffrey was mentioned. Tua. Like, it is insane.
Jake Ferguson, one of my
Jake
leagues.
Ferguson goes down. Jordan Love.
Njoku went down.
Njoku, Evan Ingram.
Carter made a hell of a point too of the indirect factors too. Like if you got anybody on the Packers, you got anybody on the Dolphins. Like these teams are getting screwed right now.
Yeah. Well, and it's
T. Higgins is coming back this week, I think.
And he's been a no-show. I mean, and that's been one of my leagues I had to have him. Thank God she's back.
Yeah, him coming back will be big for that Bengals offense, especially because they've started 0-2 and that loss with the Chiefs was tough. But I think on the flip side of it, we talk about the injuries that have happened. How about a guy coming back from injury, multiple injury-riddled seasons? J.K. Dobbins is having an early freaking great start to his NFL season with the Los Angeles Chargers now. And, I mean, it's funny. He posted a picture the other day with him in a Chargers jersey, LT, LT being one of his role models and stuff growing up, and now he gets to thrive in that run-heavy Chargers offense. So I think this kind of is a good segue into we're going to go over some buy, sell, overreactions so far into 2 weeks into the season. Probably will be 3 weeks in by the time people listen to this and have the time to truly soak up what's going on across the NFL right now. But talking about Justin Herbert, talking about that Chargers offense, buy or sell, is the Los Angeles Chargers going to be a run-heavy team throughout the entire season, or are they going to start to slowly have to transition into a more pass-heavy offense with Herbert? And what does that do for his career? Are you buying or selling?
I mean, I'm thinking just of the stake of the Chargers and their success, that they want to have the success that Jim Harbaugh and everybody else is trying to implement there, that they have to. Like, I'm buying it because they have to run the football to make their guys better with the lack of weapons. Some of the young guys, some different people. Quentin Johnson caught a touchdown last week for Herbert. A lot of these young relationships for Herbert to kind of get his feet wet again. I think it's also a good reset. If they can keep winning football games and keeping the pressure off of him with his contract, there's been a lot of stuff said about him over these last 2 years. Me wanting the Chargers wanting to go and kind of get better and kind of rooting for them from the side, that yes, I'm going to buy it that they're going to keep embracing the run game, but you also don't know, because you might buy it right now and J.K. Dobbins, something might happen next month. I don't want to say anything like that but it's his career right now. But right now they're playing really hot. Guys are buying in with that. J.K. Dobbins was just on the Pat McAfee shows last week, and just like his energy, like he's playing with house money to lose. A lot of people never thought he could run the ball again, those types of things. If they can stay healthy and that offensive line keeps rolling with the Harbaugh and company there, then yeah, I'm definitely buying it right now. And for them to have success and make hopefully a postseason chance here and push towards comes December, January, they're going to have to run the football, keep doing that, because that's how they're winning football games right now, because they don't have the sheer offensive weapons like they've had in the past.
I'm buying it. I think you see the NFL, you see glimpses of them kind of starting to go back to running the ball. I think I read a stat, I don't know if it's bullshit, but like the most running, to start the year, they've ran the ball more than they've had since 1984 or something crazy. I don't know if that's a true stat or what, but you do see that happening. You see with Mason with the Niners, they're running the football a lot. You see that with the Chargers, and Harbaugh has always been, even with Michigan, it was run the ball, pound and ground. And you got a former Notre Dame, Joe Alt, who's an absolute stud. I think has had 80. I want to say out of 80 times that they've thrown the ball or something, not one person has touched Herbert on his side. So you got a good offensive line running the ball. You look at guys, I hate to bring this up, but the Bears, that's why we can't run the ball. We literally cannot run the ball. We have no offensive line. I think when you get an offensive line like that, like the Niners have, like the Chargers are starting to develop, you got to run the ball. And not only do you got J.K. Dobbins there, but you also have Gus Edwards there, and you also have, I believe, that rookie that's there. So they got guys to run the ball.
They have Spiller, the second-year guy? Isaiah Spiller?
I think so. But they got a rookie there, too, I thought. But anyway, you got to run the ball, especially with that team. And with Harbaugh being the coach, you kind of knew that coming out. He worked on the O-line a little bit. So I think them running the ball, they're going to have some success, especially like you mentioned, when you lose guys like Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Gerald Everett. You got to find a way to win, and they have so far.
Well, I think
Yeah.
before Bryce goes too, the biggest thing is if they want to compete with the Chiefs and other teams that are more high-powered offense and stuff, they got to slow the game down. They have to win a
Oh yeah.
game
You
that
got to
they're only
control.
scoring 17 to 20 points a game. That's obviously what
Mhm.
Harbaugh wants to do. That's the bread and butter until they can start getting some more offensive weapons. But like they have to going forward. What do you got,
Mhm.
Bryce?
I'm buying it as well because I think my 2 points here are the first point, your offensive coordinator is Greg Roman. We saw what he did with the Baltimore Ravens and the run-heavy offense that he implemented there. They never really went out and got true talent receiving weapons for Lamar because they had realized they were going to be a run-heavy offense. And yes, they had Mark Andrews, and you drafted Rashad Bateman, and they tried to transition a little bit and ultimately led to a guy like Roman getting the boot and trying to bring in a guy who could implement more of a passing offense into Baltimore, with Roman then transitioning over to the Chargers. He's definitely implemented his run-heavy scheme there with them early on. And again, you make a good key point with them being able to run the ball effectively is it does control the time of possession. It gives Herbert time to control the line of scrimmage more if the run offense is effective. And then, boom, out of nowhere, you get a 60-yard touchdown from Herbert dropping back all of a sudden after you've been running the ball 60-yard plus runs with J.K. Dobbins. And if he can stay healthy, I think he's the key factor in keeping that offense thriving because we haven't seen a full season really out of J.K. Dobbins. And when he is on the field, he's completely effective and hard to match up with as a defense because of his speed. I don't think he'll ever have that breakaway speed that he once had just because of the injuries, which sucks. But a 1-2 punch of Dobbins and Edwards is fun. And, the funny thing is they both transition over from Baltimore where Roman was at. So I think the fit's there for that to happen. So I do buy the fact that they're going to continue to be a run-heavy offense for sure. Moving into the next one, I think this is an interesting one right away because the Dallas Cowboys suffered a terrible loss to the New Orleans Saints. Buy or sell, the New Orleans Saints are the best team in the NFC.
I mean, I'm selling that they're the best team in the NFC. I'm buying that they are a competitive team, that they can keep winning some football games. And I think the biggest thing is there's kind of some self-reflecting lately. If you look at Derek Carr, the amount of football he's played over his lifetime, same thing with the Aaron Rodgers thing, same thing with the Kirk Cousins things. These older guys, when Joe Flacco came off the couch last year, these new offensive schemes and systems and different things are being called. But then there's also still these nuances with these old quarterbacks that still have their niche and they still understand how to play football and can kind of read and play against these defenses, so to speak. And I think Aaron Rodgers kind of hinted on it last week, talking about a little bit that these guys are kind of at an advantage just about the sheer amount of football that these guys have played. And you saw it last week with Derek Carr. Derek Carr is playing really good football right now, probably some of the best, if not of his whole career. Now, again, it's 2 weeks in. We overreacting a little bit with some of it, yes. But at the same time, this is a really good sign for these guys also with Alvin Kamara staying healthy with the run game and all that. I'm buying him being a playoff contender and making some noise there in the NFC South, but I'm not really making him. I'm not buying him being the best team in the NFC, not quite yet.
You think they'll win that division?
Yeah, I think there's a really good chance of that. I think Atlanta's good too, but right now we got to see what Kirk Cousins can do withstanding long-term with his injury, some of those things. That was a big-time thing. I don't want to jump ship off of this talking point. What they did, though, to go in and beat the Eagles last week at their place on that time with that drive and Kirk Cousins to do it. Over the last 2 or 3 years, Kirk Cousins on primetime football has been balling. I think he's won 6 out of the last 7 or some really good stat after that. You got a lot of hate off of that. So these these old quarterbacks are kind of making a name and niche for themselves again, even Aaron Rodgers after taking a year off. These guys have seen a lot of football. They've seen a lot of different transitions through the last 10 to 15 years of being in the NFL. These guys still know how to ball, and it's being evident with Derek Carr.
Yeah, I'm not buying the best in the NFC, but I am buying that they're going to be a legitimate team, especially when you get Kamara going. I mean, every year Kamara has these spurts where he goes off, but I really like – and their defense is tough. I mean, it's hard to beat that. It's hard – Dallas will always have these games. Last year I think they got blown out by the Cardinals. I think it was week 2 or week 3 last year.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of an overreaction. Yeah, it's a little bit of an overreaction, but I do think the Saints are legit. I do think they'll be, the runner-up in that division. I do like Tampa Bay, kind of in that division, but they're definitely going to be a legit team for sure.
I would sell it as well. I do think, obviously, with the injuries we talked about, I think that's my main concern as far as buy or sell right now because I do think they have remained relatively healthy compared to teams like the 49ers who are going to be without Debo, and I believe George Kittle just got ruled out as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're two top weapons outside of Ayuk and McCaffrey. So they're without three studs on the offense for the 49ers, three of their best players. The ball moves through those guys. And that's the team that I would say right now is the best team in the NFC. But with the injuries, it's shaky. So I think it could go either way right now, buy, sell, best team in the NFC, because the 49ers are banged up. The Rams are banged up. I mean, then you got obviously a team like the Lions, Eagles. You could put those teams two up as the top two, I guess.
You forgot your favorite team in the NFC.
Was that the Dallas Cowboys?
You can throw Arizona up there, too.
No, the Packers.
I'm not putting the Packers up there right now.
I know.
No. No.
With Love's back, it's 100%. But
we'll see.
you
But
literally just said 2 weeks ago they're your favorite team in the NFC.
they are. They are my favorite team in the NFC, and I still think, depending on when Love does return,
Love's gonna be back within a week. They're better than San Fran right now.
But what version of Love are we gonna get coming off of the injury? I mean, it's still gonna be a guy who thrives on moving out of the pocket, a guy who can obviously
doesn't have to though.
He doesn't have to, but what kind of Love are we gonna get? That's my question. And that's
we can
the same.
Get 70% Love, and that's still better than the majority of the quarterbacks in the league.
He's gonna shit the bed.
Okay, let's pump the brakes a little bit. But
pump the brakes. It's facts.
Well, I mean, he had 8 great games and one very good playoff game, and we're talking about him being excellent automatically based on that.
Yeah, it's better playoff performances than Dak. We're still talking about Dak.
We're gonna dive into playoff performances. I mean, all I'm saying is I think Love is going.
I mean, so why? But you're saying slow your roll with Love, then we might as well slow our roll with talking about how good Dak is because he's a regular season quarterback.
For 8 years. He's done it for 8 years. Love done it for 8 games. 8 years, 8 games. I mean, sample size. We understand.
I mean, go win a playoff game though. I mean, that's
but you know what you're getting with Dak. You're set up to win.
I know what I'm getting with Jordan Love, and our offense is better. We got a better run game. We got better wide receivers.
All I'm saying is pump the brakes on Jordan Love.
There's no pump of the brakes. It's facts. Like there's no.
I do
let's
believe
pump the brakes on Dak then. Like let's pump the brakes on Dak.
8 games, 8 years. That's all I'm saying. I'm interested to see
how many playoff wins Dak have. What has he done in the playoffs?
You automatically have to resort to playoff games. All I'm talking about is the sample size.
That's the biggest time when I want my quarterback to show up. That's why I'm not worried right now.
So you're only worried about the 8 games that he performed well. So
we waited for year 10 for Dak to finally show
regular
something?
Season football games, effective football games. Yes, I understand the playoff failure. I understand we haven't won and got over the hump.
Oh, he's the failure regardless. I'm not even talking playoff failure.
I didn't even want to bring up Dak in the situation. All I wanted to talk about is the sample size of play between a guy like Dak, who has played 8 years of football, and a guy like Jordan Love, who has played 8 great games of football. Like, I think Love is a stud. I do. And I think he will be a great quarterback in the league. All I'm saying is slow the roll a little bit about talking about 70% of Jordan Love. You would take over half the league. I mean.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
We'll see. You seen the quarterback play? Have you seen the quarterback play the first 2 weeks? It's bad.
The quarterback play isn't great. I mean, I wouldn't say the passing is great lately, like as far as receivers go as well. Point. I'm not talking about just quarterback play. I'm talking about schematics. Defense looks good. The teams are struggling to throw the football right now. I mean, we're talking about the NFL reverting back to, like Carter talked about, the Niners being more of a ground and pound league, and I don't think it's trending that way, but it has reverted back a little bit through the first 2 weeks of the season. But
when you look at Kansas City, it looks like they're running a majority of their offense through Pacheco. Now he's hurt.
Yeah, right. Now they got 5 new guys. Let's see which one steps up.
Yeah,
it'll be Hunt. Hunt's going to come out, and he's.
Do they still have Edwards-Helaire?
I think they do, but I believe he might be.
Bro, he was hurt.
Banged up.
He was hurt. Yeah, he was like another week to week.
Hey, you know who's
the white guy's name?
They got Carson Steele. He's he'll be like the main guy, but then they have Samaj
Pirine.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be like their third down back, their goal line back. He's subbed in on a few different packages already throughout the season, but yeah, it'll be interesting. I think Hunt eventually starts to look good. I mean, he's got to get back into
hold the body
playing football snaps and all that. But I mean, when he's on the field, he's productive, and it's Kansas City. It's a homecoming. You never know what you're going to get. But all right, moving on to the next one.
He'll probably run for 1,000 yards, being a Chief now.
Seems to always happen. Something happens
God.
with the Chiefs. That's crazy. But all right. I don't really know how to word this one, but buy or sell Will Levis as the guy for the Titans. Is Will Levis the quarterback of the future for the Titans, or are they going to have to reset by the time the season's over? So kind of looking forward as to what you think Levis is going to bring the rest of the year, and is buy or sell, is he the guy for the Tennessee Titans?
I'm selling it that Will Levis is the guy for the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, the first week with the Bears. Obviously, if anybody's a Bears fan, Carter can talk about that. Some of the throws that were made at the end of the game, there were some questionable decisions that way. But I never was high on Will Levis because he was at Penn State coming out of there. He left Penn State because he really lost his starting job at that time. At the same time when Sean Clifford was there, and then he went to Kentucky, didn't do a whole lot there. Like, he's got a big arm. There's a lot of cool things with it, but like, it still has to project onto the football field and win in football games at the end of the day. Like, there's still a different thing of being good, being solid, being all that. I've never been high on Will Levis. It's nothing personal to the guy. I just don't think he's an NFL quarterback. He's probably going to make a lot of money and be a good backup and still stay in the league for a long time. I'm selling that he's a guy for Tennessee. There's just nothing there. And now there has been some other shining spots that Tennessee has shown me on the defensive side of some other things this year that I thought they are a better football team. And we'll see obviously this week with the Packers coming into there. Probably more than likely Malik Willis starting that game. Jordan Love's not going to play this week, though everybody's going to say he is. He's limited. He's not going to play. So we'll see how that goes this week. But I don't know. I don't know what you guys think on it. I don't think Will Levis is the dude.
I mean, I think it's a loose term with that. I mean, I wouldn't count him out. I mean, it's only he's played 2 weeks. The first week, they looked good. The first game, he didn't look terrible until you start getting into the second half, and he made some terrible decisions. I mean, like
with a big lead.
With a big lead. Now, a lot of that was, some of our special teams like blocking one of the punts, like that did get us back in. But you look, I don't think he played terrible against New York last week. Like I said, I think it's a little bit overreaction. I'm not saying he's the guy, but I think he's going to be the guy for them. I don't see, you look at some of the quarterbacks around the league. I don't think he's in the top 15 by any means, but
I mean,
I still don't think what?
Probably bottom 5 right now.
For sure, but I don't think you completely get away from him. I mean, he didn't play a whole lot last year.
Let him see the whole season, yeah.
You got to see the whole season. That defense is tough. They can run the ball. They do got some good weapons on the offensive, especially with their receiving core. I think it's a little bit overreaction. I'm not saying he's going to be great, but I also am not buying that, they need to get rid of him anytime soon, if that makes sense.
No, I think my best way to compare who Will Levis is he is as a quarterback in my head, he is a Temu version of Baker Mayfield. And I think what I mean by that is he's an ultra aggressive player at the quarterback position, where he's a lot of movement in the pocket, very loose with his arm, obviously has a cannon of an arm, can launch the ball downfield. Accuracy can be a little interesting sometimes. But that aggressive play style, I think if he can find the in-between of what Baker has kind of found in Tampa, where he realizes, okay, I'm not going to chuck this ball 40 yards downfield, double covered, just because I got a guy like Mike Evans downfield. I'm going to sit, I'm going to take my drop off, or I'm going to run the football, or I'm going to toss it out of bounds. And I think if Levis, the more comfortable he can get, and I think he has the right guys around him. I mean, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Pollard's been effective with Spears in the backfield early on. I mean, they also got Tyler Boyd, so there's weapons there, and
that's what very well be 2-0 right now.
They could. I mean, the Bears game should have been a win.
100%.
And I think even if we're looking at this team as 2-0, I still think it's a conversation to talk about Levis, because even in the games, like if they would have won that Bears game, it's not like Levis was very effective. I mean,
they ran the ball good, but it wasn't a reflection of him.
Yeah, and the Titans are a team that if they win a football game, it's probably not going to be because of Levis. It's going to be because the football team as a whole did just enough to get them that win. And that could come from defense, special teams, a game-winning field goal. Like, Levis isn't that guy that's going to take you over the hump, and obviously it's very early on. We talk about sample size of games played. Levis just hasn't played enough football.
And new coach. I mean, I think that plays a big part too.
All around, yeah.
But I'm not defending the guy. I don't think he's amazing, as far as the starting quarterback goes. But I do think it's a little bit overreaction.
Yeah.
He's basically a rookie in a way. He's not a true rookie, but you're going to have a lot of rookies make those stupid mistakes. There's a few exceptions to the rule, but some of those throws he made against the Bears were, I mean, especially that one that Stevenson had that pick six, that was terrible. I mean, there's no defending that, but give him some time. New offense, new coach, and we'll see kind of how it goes the rest of the year. That's my opinion.
Well, and I also think, I mean, if you threw a guy like Levis into, say, the 49ers schematic offense with Shanahan, I still don't even think he would be successful. And I'm a guy who's not even that high on Purdy, but I still don't think he'd be successful just because he has too much of the aggressive nature in him as a quarterback right now. He's willing to take risks that other quarterbacks, through time and experience in the league, have realized, I can't make that throw. I need to take it and run, or I need to throw it out of bounds. I can't take that sack. Or just, it's multiple things that I've seen through 2 weeks thus far where he needs to – I mean, he's got to sit in the pocket longer. He's got to be able to just take what the defense is giving you. I think that's the easiest terminology to use for him. And if he can do that, I think the team as a whole is going to be able to win games by a field goal here and there. But I'm selling it. I still don't think he will eventually be the guy. Looking into a scope of the future, and I don't think he's the guy. All right, let's move on to – I know Gannon kind of already mentioned Kirk Cousins, but let's talk about it because obviously, as we all know, Michael Penix Jr. gets taken as a very surprise pick in the draft after the Falcons go out and hand the Brinks trunk to Kirk Cousins. And now you're kind of seeing early on. I mean, he did have that game-winning drive against Philadelphia after Saquon dropped the ball on that third down, which resulted in, the field goal, right? Philly took the field goal, and then they were down. So my thing –
down 6, and then –
they got the extra point and won the game. Yeah. Buy or sell that Kirk Cousins, buy or sell that Kirk Cousins is fully healthy right now. I think this is an obvious one, but kind of let's just talk about, should Penix be getting some snaps right now? Should he be getting some snaps so that you can kind of see what you got with him and give Kirk more time to heal? Because I don't think he's 100%. I don't think he's even 80%.
No, but the biggest reason why I'm buying it with Kirk Cousins right now, because if he's good enough and he's playing right now, then that's probably what you're going to get at Kirk Cousins. Now, it's also the same trajectory as if the game's going on, he's going to keep getting his feet underneath him. How much is going to wear off or the rust is going to knock off? Or is this just what Kirk Cousins is going to be? But I think they have enough with the run game, their weapons around him, and their defense that I can buy it that Kirk Cousins is a legit and viable option. I'm not really rushing playing Michael Penix right now. I know the age thing. He's injured, done a lot of different things. He's been a lot of football, a lot of wear and tear on the body and all that. But I like to sit him. The biggest thing is these guys need to sit and learn. It's becoming a lost art. You're seeing with Arch Manning, why Arch Manning's progression is so good at Texas right now. He could have transferred out and got billions or bukus of millions of dollars this last year as a transfer portal. He's sitting and taking it because he wants to learn under Quinn Ewers and sitting and learning those reps. Now he's playing because he's hurt. It's the same thing with Michael Penix. Kirk Cousins might get hurt in a week or two. That Achilles, something might happen. Who knows with him? He's 37, 38 years old. Not having him ready for that and doing all those things. But I don't think we need to see Michael Penix play right now. Obviously, this is a lot different if they're 0-2, if they don't pull this thing out and Saquon grabs that ball. But again, that's football. Kirk Cousins was the mature elite quarterback that he's been over the past few years and took those short yardage gains on 5 to 10 yard throws, taking what the defense gave him. Also, they were giving him the boundary. I don't know what the hell the Eagles were doing on some of their defensive stuff that last drive. That was also a little bit of a lackluster performance from the Eagles on that thing, but Kirk Cousins took that drive and got there. There's a mantra. Those guys are getting around him now. There was some energy after that game of Kirk Cousins being with the team, and those energy. He's won a lot of football games. There's a lot of people that listen to Kirk Cousins that are in the locker room with him. There's a lot of people's opinions on the outside. When it gets down to the nitty and gritty, a lot of people like going to work and playing for Kirk Cousins. So right now, I'm buying it right now. I don't know how healthy it is, but right now I'm seeing this, and they're kind of getting better each week. And then I think the schematics with their play system and those guys are also learning what he does well, what they're going good with their run game and all those things. Right now I'm buying at what I'm seeing on the field. Not saying it's the best thing of Kirk Cousins, but he's doing the good thing right now. If he can get a little bit healthier along with that offense around there, I think they're going to be okay.
I think Carter's mic cut out, so I'll keep going until he gets his mic fixed. Anyway, I think something I want to talk about with Atlanta right away is what I would do, you talked about Penix not being ready, and I agree. And I wouldn't rush a rookie in because we've seen what that does to quarterbacks. I mean, Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, obviously both starting with the Jets. Bryce Young in Carolina just now getting benched. I think there's multiple things right now where you don't want to put Penix in, but the organization knows and realizes Kirk is not completely healthy. And if I'm the general manager or coach, what I'm doing is I'm going out and signing a veteran quarterback. I'm going out and signing a veteran quarterback, and obviously starting 0-2, you probably think this is a playoff team, and that's fine. But obviously starting 0-2, what I'd be willing to do, go out and get a veteran quarterback, at least spin it a game or two, give Kirk a little bit more time to rehab, a little bit more time to just get off that foot, get off that ankle, and hopefully within 2 to 3 weeks you start to see him continue to progress up. But obviously not a lot of organizations are going to see it or do it that way because if you're a GM for the Falcons, you realize you paid him
Well, he
millions.
might
and
also
millions
be fine. Like, this might be part of it, too. Because I don't think if he's not cleared and can't go out and perform and feel a somewhat solid, he's not going out there right now.
And I also think it could just be the way he moves now. Could he be completely healthy? And he's, I mean, the age is there. The injury, obviously.
He wasn't mobile before at all.
No, yeah. And you're seeing the slower pace. But then even looking at a guy like Rodgers, he's moving well. He's moving well coming off that Achilles. And
Better athlete.
Yeah, and I think he's been more mobile in the past than Kirk has. Running style and all the physics behind that stuff. But it's interesting for me to see them throw Kirk out there. I wouldn't have played him the first 2-3 weeks of the season. I wouldn't have ever thrown him out there like they have. And yes, he's been okay. He's been good enough for them to win that Philly game. And I think if you really want to make a run for it this year, which obviously in my head it's not going to be a year where the Falcons can go win it with a guy like Kirk this year, but I would have personally waited on it. So I kind of am. I don't even know how I worded it at the beginning. I don't remember.
But I don't think they could wait with the contract situation also and Michael Penix in there. You can't wait.
That's the tough part. You paid him millions like that and just kind of hoped you.
I'm buying everything with Kirk, honestly. I think with Kirk, you know what you're getting. And, he's going to lose you some games, and he's going to win you some games like we saw against Philly. I know he's coming off a pretty big injury, but at this point, I mean, we're early in the season, but there's a lot of quarterbacks that are hurt right now, or at least playing on. I mean, that's football in general. You're never 100%.
No.
And I think it's a good move not to get Penix in there right away because it's very rare that a rookie quarterback just comes out and kills it like we've seen with Stroud, for an example, with last year. Even Jordan Love, you saw the first half of the season didn't look great, caught momentum, and it carried him all the way into the playoffs. I think with Kirk, you know what you're getting. He's dependable somewhat. He's never going to run the ball like an Aaron Rodgers. And Rodgers is old, but he can get out and move. Kirk's never been that guy. He's always been a guy that can sit in the pocket, and he will throw a ball and stay there and get rocked. And I just think they need to ride it out. And if he gets hurt, then you throw Penix in. But Penix has dealt with a lot of injuries as well, and you need to give him some time to learn and rest before you just throw him in there, in my opinion.
I agree. I think it's tough, but in the Penix part, you don't want to rush Penix out. I wouldn't put Penix out there either right now. It's not the time. And obviously, if you're a Falcons fan, maybe you do want to see him and kind of see the flashes you could get, but don't feed your rookie quarterback to the fire. We've seen what it does to guys. We've seen what it done to Darnold, Wilson, Bryce Young, Justin Fields, Mitchell Trubisky. Like we all know. I mean, unless you're the Stroud, the Deshaun Watson, when he came into the league with Houston, like you kind of know what you're going to get. Joe Burrow, like
Brock Purdy.
It's tough. It's not easy to enter the NFL. Yeah, and the schematics have a lot to do with it. You talk about Brock Purdy. He entered a very favorable position. He had weapons immediately. He had a great coach. The system was already there for them. They had already been a winning football team. The culture was there. And sometimes it just clicks. And sometimes you're a Houston Texans team who goes from winning 0 games to getting a new coach and bringing in a rookie quarterback, and it just clicks. And that's the way it goes sometimes. But continuing on with quarterback play, and then we can make our picks. We can make this our last buy or sell. And I think this is a very interesting topic because we haven't seen success with this guy in a long time. buy or sell, Deshaun Watson's career is over. He will never be a successful quarterback in the National Football League again.
Ooh, I'm selling that. I'm not going to say that he's ever going to get back to buying to where he's going to be an all-pro level or kind of being the MVP guy that he has been in the past, but I'm selling that he's not going to be good enough to go win football games with the Cleveland Browns. Now, obviously, the Cleveland Browns, it's a whole other organization. They've created a whole landslide of paying the quarterbacks and set a new precedence with all that. So we could already be pissed. Everybody's already mad at the Cleveland Browns organization for that side of the mess that they've already controlled on their side of things. But I don't know. I still think Deshaun Watson, obviously, he hasn't played a whole lot of football over the last few years with his injuries. I think he's got to work through some of that. I know the week one stuff was a lot. He lost his dad. There's a lot of off the field things going on there. There was some things that people were talking crap about him. Like, he just lost his dad. He didn't even, there was people that are telling him to not even play that game, but he said he had to go out and play for his guys and those types of things. Again, I think he can go out and be a good football player and still win football games. He was a good guy at Clemson. He's a good athlete. There's been a lot of off the field crap going on. There's still some rumors going on now, some new allegations and all that. But I think he's slowly starting to get into a freer state of mind now after some of the things with the injuries kind of going off the field things. He's back on the football field day in, day out. Kevin Stefanski's a hell of a football coach to go to work for every single day with the Cleveland Browns. So am I buying he's going to be an MVP candidate and win the AFC North? No, but I don't think he's a total bust and sellout anymore that you don't want him there. Now, he's a bust and sellout for the money that you're paying him, no doubt about that. But to be an NFL quality quarterback and go win you, maybe 8 or 9 football games, yeah, I'm buying that.
Cool.
I'm buying that he's done. I think this is no knock on him, but he's terrible. He's terrible. You got weapons there. You really do if you look at the Cleveland team. Yeah. I mean, they got Elijah Moore. They got Jerry Jeudy. They got Amari Cooper. They got Njoku. Their defense is keeping them in. They got a really good defense. Yeah. Deshaun Watson's terrible. This is no knock on him as a person. Part of what, Ruckman, you mentioned of the off-the-field stuff, that's part of the reason why I think he's done. Because I think you have all of that off-the-field stuff. There's not a lot of guys that can bounce back from a lot of, the mental part of it. Plus, he's just
something
not playing
serious,
good football.
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit of – and we're week 2, right? So, give it some time, but I think he's done. They have a good team. If you throw any other quarterback on there, I think they got a really good team. I think he's the missing link there. So I am buying that, he's a bust. I don't know if you call it a bust because he had good years with Houston to start, but yeah, I don't think his career I think it's over as far as, being a starting good quarterback. Flacco looked better than he has. They have the same team. In fact, they added guys like a Jerry Jeudy. And with Chubb, who knows when Chubb comes back if that's going to make a difference, but yeah, I'm buying that he's kind of done.
I'm buying it as well. And we've talked about, Gannon kind of mentioned the free state of mind a little bit and getting into that. And it is more prevalent in today's world where we talk about being a free spirit and mentally being able to lock into your game, your craft as an athlete. And it's hard. You have a lot of outside distraction. You have a lot of issues going on in your life. People don't see that through the TV screen when you're playing on a Sunday. And I do think kind of the opposite of what Gannon said, where he's kind of entering that more free spirit mind. I think he's in his head with the stuff that's going on and the legality stuff that has been going on for the last 2-3 years now. And the way it ended in Houston, obviously more allegations coming out now with more rumors behind those allegations. Like if I'm Deshaun Watson and I'm in his position, which obviously I'm not and never will be, but understanding what he has to deal with because of his actions or alleged actions, it's got to be detrimental to, one, your mental and having to deal with that, but then being able to go out and step out in the public light every weekend and play a football game and then take the criticism on top of that. It's got to be insanely hard to keep your confidence level up. And then not only dealing with that, but then we talked about the physical issues there with the coming off surgery, having Flacco go out there and be able to perform. And then you come back and realize, well, this is kind of make or break, because if I'm not performing well, then Joe Flacco already showed that he could do it in Cleveland. And then it's almost like, well, you got $200 million in guaranteed money, so you got to pay him. So you got to play him. And obviously they got a very good defense with Cleveland. So, this
might be a little extreme, me saying this, but like, you know, off the field stuff, whether it's, you know, a loved one dying or you have these allegations, which we can't relate to, those types of things. But, you know, that's life. You know, shit happens off the field, whether it's personal, whether, you know, you messed up, whether something happened with family. Like, you know, in a regular job, it doesn't matter what's going on in you have to show up and still do your job. And I think that you have to take that into consideration too, that, you know, Dak, for an example, he lost his brother to suicide.
Yeah.
That's tough. Like, and Dak finds a way. I'm not saying Dak's, you know, a top 5 quarterback, because I don't think he's even top 10, but he still goes out and does these things. That's life. You know, stuff happens off the field, and in normal people, right, that aren't athletes or entertainers, yeah, you don't have the spotlight that those guys do, but everyone deals with personal stuff on a daily basis, and you still have to find a way to show up and get the job done. Because in real life, you're fired, right? In football, you can make $100 million on a contract and never show up again. So I think, you know, that sounds a little harsh, but I think that's a reality, that everyone has things that they're going through, and you can't just excuse it.
Yeah.
As well, you know, it's a hard thing. He's got to play. So that's kind of my thoughts with the whole thing. I mean, I wish the guy nothing but the best. It's nothing personal, but at the end of the day, you got to show up and do your job. It doesn't really matter what's going on, you know, in your personal life.
I do agree in a sense, but I will disagree on one point, and I think the disagreement that I have there is only the fact that between us and them, we don't face public scrutiny. We don't have to face constant media reporters asking us questions. Are the allegations true? Did this happen? Did that happen? On top of that, your play is terrible. You look bad. You lost week 1 to the Cowboys when your defense played solid and they didn't give up that many points, blah, blah, blah. So you're hearing it from all different angles. And then you got to go home, close the door, and then you become that normal version of being a human being. So it's like you're in the public light, and then you get to go home, and so you're facing it in the public light, and then you're facing it in your own personal head. So I understand.
100% understand that. But you look at a lot of other guys. I mean, some guys have been, not maybe to the extent of the allegations, but there's been a lot of superstars that get public scrutiny. You look at some of the greatest athletes of all time, like LeBron. It might not be that he's got allegations, but the guy's hated.
He gets scrutiny all the time.
For the most part.
Yeah.
So I understand where you're coming from, where, you know, everything's out in the spotlight, and that's got to be tough to deal with. But, you know, just that was kind of my food for thought on the whole situation.
$250 million guaranteed or whatever it was.
Right. So and I'm sure a lot of us would be willing to take that pay and have to deal with some public scrutiny.
It's a fine line. It's a fine line, no doubt.
For sure. But I see your point, for sure.
All right, well, let's make our week 3 picks. Obviously, we'll exclude the Jets, Patriots. With I'm guessing we probably all would have taken the Chiefs. I did take, or not the Chiefs, the Jets.
Yeah.
I did take the Jets.
I thought it was going to be a little bit closer game, but
I'll just run
the
through
Patriots' offensive line is horrendous.
Yeah, I'll just run through my list. I'm not going to dive into any of specifics or anything. Just give you my picks, getting picked. Obviously took the Jets. I got the Cowboys over the Ravens. I got the Chargers winning. I got the Texans winning. Saints winning. Bucks winning. Titans, Browns, Bears, Raiders, Seahawks, Cardinals, 49ers, Chiefs, Bills, Bengals. And I believe, let me double check, but that Cardinals game, who were they playing?
Lions, Cardinals.
So I took the Cardinals over the Lions. That was like my one. I took also Seattle over the Dolphins, but they're without Tua, so that's not as iffy. But I am going to take the Cardinals over the Lions. I think they got something, and I think they can be a surprise team. And obviously it's early on, so a lot can happen. But that's my one surprise pick of the week, I think. But yeah, those are my W picks this week. So we will see what happens. But what you guys got?
So I got the Bears. I got the Steelers over the Chargers. I got the Vikings over the Texans. I'm riding the Vikings wave. I got Saints over Eagles, Bucks over the Broncos. I got the Titans over Green Bay, Browns over the Giants. and we're rocking with Andy Dalton. I'm taking the Panthers over the Raiders.
It's
taking
doable.
Seahawks.
It's doable.
It's an overreaction with the Raiders, I think. And then we got I'm taking Seattle over Miami. I'm taking Dallas over Baltimore. I got the Lions over the Cardinals. I got the Niners over the Rams. I'm rocking with the Falcons over the Chiefs.
Ooh.
I got the Bills, and then I got the Bengals. So it'd be different if we were looking at like the spread of the games. If we were to be doing a little bit of that, but yeah, I think the sleeper of the week is Carolina. I think they're gonna.
Well, your sleeper of the week is probably the Falcons game.
Falcons,
I think, dude. I don't know. There's something about how Kansas City's playing right now that
Atlanta's defense, baby.
Atlanta's defense tough. They're on a roll. I'm definitely would be looking at Falcons with the points if I were to be putting anything on the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I just think the Chiefs have been literally a toe away from losing every single game. And I think the Bengals game was a complete fabrication. The Bengals and the Chiefs game. I literally was sitting there with my future brother-in-law, and we're like, here's what's going to happen. Either Kelsey's going to be wide open, and there's going to be a PI somewhere. And it happened. Now, I'm not saying that wasn't a PI, but stuff leading up to it's just like, come on. Like, the Bengals had that game.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's kind of my games of the week.
Yeah. Let's go. I got Cleveland over the Giants. Going to go the Colts over the Bears. Houston over the Vikings. Going to go New Orleans over the Eagles. Chargers beating the Steelers. Let's see here. New Orleans, I already said that one. Tampa Bay is beating Denver. Packers, Malik Willis return. He's taking down the Titans. I don't know how hardly I can say that, but I'm a Packers fan, so he's obviously got to. So they're obviously going to win.
It's a revenge game.
But dude, like we're just obviously it was full gold last week. Like the Colts gave up. I don't know how many ground. Like Josh Jacobs isn't having 200 on the ground again. But Vegas is going to win by 2 scores over Carolina. Seattle's beating Miami. Going Arizona, taking Detroit. That's in Arizona. Arizona going with them. I like Kyler, especially Marvin Harrison last week. Going Baltimore over Dallas. Lamar needs a win bad. San Fran over the Rams. KC over Atlanta. And then we're going to go Buffalo to go 3-0 with Mr. Josh Allen. And then Joey B's got to get a win. So we're going the Bengals.
Yeah, the Bengals and the Ravens got to get a win. So I could easily.
They got to.
But you also got to look at too. Like I would take the Ravens, but it's rare that Dallas loses at home. It's just it is what it is. I think that's a huge thing for them. But Baltimore's starting at 0-2. If they fall to 0-3, man, that's going to be scary. But
it's really tough.
I want Baltimore to win for sure because I hate the Cowboys. But
I'm aware.
Just if you didn't know already.
Yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate anyone that tapped in or is going to tap in for our week 3 picks, buy, sell, overreactions so far. Entering into week 3 of the NFL season, we've enjoyed it so far. We appreciate you all tapping in, and we will see you next time.